Yo, what's poppin', everybody? Watt007 here, back at it again with a brand new Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links video, and today is going to be my no BS guide for 2022 on what's the best card to get with your UR Dream Ticket. So without further ado, let's get into it. So you have yourself right here a UR Dream Ticket Glossy 5th Anniversary Ticket Login Bonus. Well, fun fact about this ticket, it lasts until January 31st of 2023. So that means you literally have an entire year to redeem this UR Dream Ticket. So if you're for sure that you're going to be playing Duel Links for over a year and you don't know what you want to spend your UR Dream Ticket on, literally save the card. Personally, that's how I use my UR Dream Tickets, is that I wait until I want to invest into a deck that I want to play. Recently, I've been using my Dream Tickets that I got from previous events to get cards for Buster Blader, because Buster Blader got new support, and that's a prime example and a decent time to use a UR Dream Ticket. Of course, though, Konami released those two cards for Buster Blader in the selection box. Thanks, guys! But still, that's when I use my Dream Ticket personally. I was not expecting those cards to get reprinted, so unfortunately, I got shafted. But for most players, just save your UR Dream Ticket until you need it for a deck that you actually need to play. Because what's fantastic about the UR Dream Ticket, that if you don't know already, is that you can use it to get just about any card in the game except from the current Arc 5 boxes. But you can use it to get this Arc 5 structure decks and every other UR card from previous boxes, which is awesome. But if you're a new player that is new to Duel Links and you don't expect yourself to be playing this game for over a year, definitely spend it right now, because then it's better to spend it now than waste it. And if you are a new player, I'm going to get you guys some suggestions on some of the best cards to get that are going to be usable in a multitude of decks. And then at the very end of today's video, I'm going to give you guys some suggestions on what are some really good cards to utilize towards building some powerful decks in the current metagame. So without further ado, let's get into it. Also, another thing I want to mention before we get into my suggestions of what are the best cards to get with your UR Dream Ticket, before you choose any card, before you consider getting any card, click the drop down arrow right here and filter through boxes. You're going to want to do this so it's going to only filter cards that you have to use gems or money in order to attain these cards. And another thing too, before choosing which card you want to get with this, still make sure that this card is not from a mini box or a structure deck. So for example, maybe you wanted Dragon Pulse Magician for whatever reason. Click the how to obtain button by clicking on the card and clicking the how to obtain button. It's going to tell you where you can get the card itself, and you can click on that button to see if it's from a structure deck, a mini box, or main box. It will tell you on the card or on the little box art itself, it'll say mini box or main box right here. If it doesn't, that means from a structure deck. So always make sure to click the how to obtain button before you commit to your decision right here, because if the card's from a mini box, especially a UR card, there's only like 2 or 3 UR cards in a mini box, so it's usually pretty easy to get from a mini box. And structure decks, you can just pay 1,000 gems to get the structure deck guaranteed, and then if you have a little bit of money lying around, like $4 lying around, you can use that and go into your structure deck and then buy another copy of the structure deck. So just make sure to keep that in mind before choosing what card you want to get with your archetype. So starting off with trap cards, there's 2 trap cards that I want to mention that are going to be very useful in any deck. We have Fiendish Chain and we have Floodgate Trap Hole. Floodgate Trap Hole is going to be a fantastic card right here, and there's a reason why it's on the limited list for 3, because of the fact that when your opponent summons the monsters, you can change the monster to face down the defense position, and they cannot switch the battle position of this card. So if you're going against a Pendulum deck and they summon multiple monsters at once, you can flip them all down with Floodgate and they can't flip them back up. Or if your opponent summons into a monster and either a boss monster or a monster that they're going to use to start going with their combo, flipping it down with Floodgate is going to be handy, because even if you don't have a card to help you out in the next turn, they can't flip it up unless they have an ability that allows them to flip up their cards, because they can't do it themselves, which is a really good card. So Floodgate's really useful. And then Fiendish Chain is really useful for the fact that this card allows you to target an effect monster and negate its effects. And on top of that too, that effect monster can't attack anymore. So these 2 are cards that I could see new players really utilizing well, because you can put this on just about any single deck that you make and it's going to be a useful card. So that is why I would recommend those 2 trap cards if you wanted to get some firepower to help you out in a duel by stopping your opponent from going through their combos. Other cards in here that are really useful is Ballista Squad, Regeki Break, and Canadia are also fantastic cards to go for if you don't have 3 copies of these cards. Ballista Squad is going to be seeing more play thanks to the fact that Shiranui is now seeing a little bit more play and kind of rogue and PvP and whatnot. Ballista Squad allows you to pop your Shiranui monsters to get them into the graveyard, and then from there you're going to be able to target one of your opponent's cards on the field and destroy it, and then later on in your turn you can go for Synchro Summons with Shiranui, so that's really popular. Then we have Regeki Break, where you can discard a card and target a card on the field and destroy it. This card's useful because there is a lot of decks in the game that allow you to use your graveyard as another resource to get advantage, so you can pitch a card that you need in the graveyard anyways, pop a card on the field, and then on your turn go for your combo. And then I'm not saying that Canada is a bad card, but in this current metagame, I think it's going to kind of be outclassed by Floodgate, Phoenix Chain, and whatnot. But I still want to mention it because it's another powerful card that you can use to flip down your opponent's monsters. And on top of that, too, it's not on the limited list. So if you have a deck like Invoked, where you still want to flip down monsters with it, well, Paleozo Canada is going to be a fantastic candidate to help you out with, since you can't play Floodgate and Invoked anymore, and so on and so forth. So that's my last recommendation for the trap cards. And yeah, out of all the trap cards right here, the only other card that I can see seeing some play is Magician's Navigation, but try to get the structure deck instead of utilizing your UR Dream Ticket to get Magician's Navigation. So unless you're a free-to-play player and you really need 3 copies of Magician Navigation, go for it with your UR Dream Ticket. But as you can see right here, there's plenty of ways to get the card. You can get it from the structure deck, get it from the selection box, or get it from the mini box itself and whatnot. So I want to mention it because it is going to be a powerful card in the metagame, but you probably want to stray away from using your Dream Ticket on it. Moving on to spell cards, though, there's 3 cards that I can quickly mention here that are going to be fantastic. MST, Forbidden Lance, and Cosmic Cyclone are fantastic staple cards that you can utilize your Dream Ticket on. They're going to help you out a lot. Right now, MST is probably your best candidate for back row removal, because I think we're going to be kind of going into a back row meta with Bottomless Trap Hole just getting introduced. Floodgate's really powerful. Phoenix Chain's really powerful, so on and so forth. And decks that can utilize those powerful back row, it's going to be nice to have Mystical Space Typhoon to be able to snipe that. And on top of that, too, Mystical Space Typhoon can help you snipe away Pendulum cards, so you can stop your opponent from being able to go into their Pendulum summon. So Mystical Space Typhoon, I would probably say, is probably one of the best cards to get in this format, since it's not limited to 3. So if you have a deck that you're trying to play that has cards in the limited 3 list, like maybe Dark Magician or Invoke, you can play MST instead of Cosmic Cyclone and have a removal or back row removal. Forbidden Lance is also a really good card. It's kind of hard for me to recommend this to free-to-play players, but if you are like pretty skilled on what you're doing with your deck, this card is really good, because what you can do, this card's super versatile. If your opponent targets one of your monsters with a card effect, you can chain Forbidden Lance, since it's a quick play spell card. And basically what it allows you to do is you can target a face of monster in the field, and until the end of this turn, it loses 800 attack, but it's unaffected by the effects of other trap and spell cards. So it's a very versatile card, because you can stop your opponent from floodgating your own monsters with it. They floodgate your monster, you can chain Lance and stop your monster from getting floodgated. And any other effect that targets a card with or just has an effect that spell traps, you can just negate it. Or if you need to get over one of your opponent's monsters and you just need to lower their attack points a little bit, you can target your opponent's monster and make them lose 800 attack and then swing at them. So it's really, really, really useful right here. It is a very versatile card. And Cosmic Cyclone, I still want to mention, because of the fact that this card can be useful depending if you're playing a skill that you need to lose life points in order to play it. Cosmic Cyclone is really good because, one, you get to banish the spell and trap cards. So if you're sniping a Pendulum card, instead of having that Pendulum card, it won't go back to your opponent's extra deck. It gets banished and just removed from the game. And on top of that, too, you can lose the life points to then trigger certain skills and whatnot. So if you're playing certain skills that need to require loss of life points, Cosmic Cyclone is a fantastic option. I've been personally staying away from this because the decks in this game are pretty insane. You can get OTK'd very easily, but still a useful card in certain scenarios, and there's a reason why it is on the limited 3 list. And yeah, that's kind of it for spell cards in here. I will quickly mention, though, Dark Magical Circle is a pretty good card to get. If you're playing Dark Magician, I would strongly recommend getting 3 copies of this card, because this allows you to search for your Dark Magician cards, and it's going to allow you to banish your opponent's monster when you special summon a Dark Magician on the field. This is a must-have at 3 copies, but before you use your Dream Ticket to use this card, try to get it from the selection box when it's still around, or try to go into Future Horizon. If you have no luck with that, then use your UR Dream Ticket to go for Dark Magical Circle. That's probably the only card I can recommend out of this list that is definitely going to be seeing some play, because the new Dark Magician port's insane. You probably don't really need Invocation, because Invoke players, they only play 1 Invocation and 2 Aliesters, so I would probably skip past using Invocation. But yeah, if you can get Dark Magical Circle, I would strongly recommend it if you are planning to play Dark Magician. Moving on to extra deck cards, I'm just going to quickly mention a bunch of extra deck monsters that are pretty useful. So if you already have all these staple cards that I just mentioned, and you might need a little extra firepower for your extra deck, here's a couple of quick mentions that I could recommend to you guys. Honestly, Cyber / Harpy Lady, if you have a deck that can go into the Synchro Summon of this card, because this is a generic Synchro Summon, Cyber / Harpy Lady is actually really powerful. I've been playing this in Buster Blader recently, and it gave the deck a competitive edge to be able to bounce one of my opponent's monsters back to their hand to really mess up my opponent. So the ability where a spell card gets activated, either you activate one or your opponent activates one, or a trap card, you're able to bounce an opponent's monster back to their hand, or you can bounce Harpy Lady back to the deck. Really useful, and it's a really good level 8 synchro monster that I would recommend. Abyss Dweller hasn't been seeing much play, but it is a fantastic rank 4 for the fact that you can basically stop your opponent from activating graveyard effects. So if there's a meta in the future that graveyard effects are really prevalent, which could easily happen. Abyss Dweller is a good way to kind of shut that down. Stellar M7, a fantastic rank 6 monster where you can basically use this card to detach an Exceeds material off this card and then target a monster on the field or the graveyard and banish it. So you can stop your opponent from doing plays from the graveyard, or you can target one of your cards on your opponent's side of the field and banish it. Fantastic card. Heretic Sun Dragon, a fantastic rank 8 if you're playing Blue Eyes or just any other cards in the game that could spam out rank 8s. You can overlay into this guy, detach an Exceeds material, sacrifice any number of monsters from your hand or side of the field, and then destroy an equal number of cards of the field is really powerful. And on top of that too, this is a non-target effect, so you can play around cards that are immune from target effects. Mecha Phantom Beast Dracosac, fantastic rank 7 because you summon this guy in the field and you can detach a material to summon 2 tokens, and those 2 tokens can allow Dracosac to be protected, or you can sacrifice the token to then pop one of your opponent's monsters on the side of the field, or just one of their cards on the side of the field. So a really good generic level 7 Xyz monster. Coral Dragon, fantastic level 6 synchro tuner monster. Once per turn, you get this card, target a card your opponent controls and destroy it. And if this card sends to the graveyard, you can draw a card. And it's also a tuner monster, so you can go for an extended synchro summon after you summon this card. Broniac, another fantastic level 6 synchro monster. You can discard any number of cards to the graveyard and then target the same number of cards and return those back to the hand. Broniac, also a fantastic card to consider. Vermilion Dragon Mech, a level 9 synchro monster. Once per turn, you can banish a tuner from your hand and then pop a card on the field. And if this guy gets sent to the graveyard, you can recycle that banished tuner and add it back to your hand. Black Rose Dragon, generic level 7 monster that you can synchro summon into to nuke the entire board. Fantastic card. Moving on to monsters, there's not really that many monsters I'll recommend, but we're gonna go through a couple of them that are good to consider. I gotta shout out my boy Chaos Dragon Levine here. If you're playing a light and dark deck, this guy is a fantastic addition to your deck. If you're playing like a Light Sworn deck or a deck that just simply has light and dark monsters, you can special summon Chaos Dragon Levineer by banishing 3 light or dark monsters, special summon Levineer on the board, and then target 2 cards on the field. Not even target, you get to pop 2 cards on the field, non-targetable removal, a super powerful card. There's a reason why it's on the limited 3, and also has some additional effects too if you are only playing a light deck and only playing a dark deck. It's a 3000 beater that you can special summon by sacrificing graveyard resources. It's a super good card, and I would recommend it. Bulb is a really decent card for utilizing certain graveyard strategies. If this is in your graveyard, you can special summon it by sending the top card from your deck back into the graveyard, and then you have a level 1 tuner to your disposal, so it's a good one-of card. So if you don't have this card and you have a synchro summon strategy, this guy's a decent card to consider. Stratos, if you're playing Elemental Heroes, having 3 copies of Stratos is fantastic because you can search for an Elemental Hero monster, and if you have Elemental Hero monsters on the board while this card is normal or special summon, you can destroy spell and trap cards up to the number of hero monsters you control, except this card. So it's a searcher and it pops back row, non-targetable removal. Baby, let's go. Normal summon Aliester. Basically, what we can do is that if you want to play an invoke deck, what you can do is that you can go through the box that this card came from, the Dark Dimension box once, pull 1 copy of Invoker, 1 copy of Invocation, and then use your other Dream Ticket to get your 3rd or 2nd copy of Aliester the Invoker. Since both Invocation and Aliester the Invoker are both on the limited 3 list, you're only going to be able to play 3 copies from that list. So the ratios is that you play 2 Aliester and the Invoker, 1 Invocation, you're good to go. So utilizing your Dream Ticket to get your 2nd copy of Invoker is going to be pretty beneficial because, again, you can't play 3 anyways. So you might as well get 1 from the box, Invocation from the box, and then the last piece of the puzzle from the UR Dream Ticket. Blue Eyes is still pretty popular, so if you're a Blue Eyes player, maybe consider using Whitestone Ancients, but before you do, try to open up some packs from the Selection Box Volume 3, because you can get the card from this pack. You also have a mini box that you can get them from, and you can get it from a structure deck, but I still want to mention it because it is a very powerful card for Blue Eyes. And if you're just really unlucky, well, maybe you got to use the UR Dream Ticket to get your 2nd or 3rd copy of this guy. If you're feeling some Synchro Summon shenanigans, Junk Synchron is a pretty good card for the fact that you can utilize this card to combo with Shooting Star Road if you have the skill. And with Shooting Star Road, you're going to be able to go into the Synchro Summon of Shooting Star Dragon with just Junk Synchron if you play Shooting Star Road. So before you use your Dream Ticket on it, try to go into the mini box and try to get the structure deck first. But if you're really unlucky, getting your 2nd or 3rd copy of Junk Synchron through the UR Dream Ticket is not a terrible choice because it is a pretty solid deck. Might not get you the king of games, but I personally have a lot of fun with it. And if you're a Synchro Summon fan or a Yusei fan, you're going to have a ton of fun with it too. I'm going to quickly mention Buster Whelp right here. I think this is a fantastic card to get 3 if you enjoy playing Buster Blader or you just want to counter those annoying dragons in the PvP ladder. Thanks to the new UR card, that Buster Blader got recently. That card is super, super, super good, and having 3 copies of Buster Whelp is going to be very useful because you can search for that trap card, and you're going to be able to set up a board where you get to be able to change all your opponent's monsters to Dragon type and then swing with Buster Blader, Dragon Destroyer, Swordsman, and just win duels. I've been having a ton of fun with this rogue deck. It's been a lot of fun to climb within the PvP ladder, and having 3 Buster Whelp is very useful to make the deck work. Last but not least, we got a classic right here. This hand trap still sees plays once in a while. Spear Karibo is a hand trap where if your opponent monster declares an attack, you can send this card to the graveyard and change your opponent's monster to defense position. It doesn't target, so the monster switches to defense position no matter what. It gets to save you, and it's a dark monster too, so if you have a deck like Levianeer, you can sacrifice that Spear Karibo, summon to Levianeer, or if you're maybe rocking some Blacklist or Soldier Envoy beginning shenanigans, you can do that too. Fantastic card. And that's going to pretty much do it for my no BS guide for the UR Dream Ticket. Let me know if you guys see me forget any cards that you think are going to be relevant in this current metagame. Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If it did help you out, smash the like button on the video down below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you guys are new. But other than that, that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next Yu-Gi-Oh video. Peace out, guys.